West Ridge Pike in Limerick builds the best sandwich in town.
I actually consider building this sandwich. This isn't making a sandwich, you build this sandwich.
And
In a certain order.
And you're right, Betty. The Zepp originated at the east end of Norristown. And there's only one way to make it.
It's cheese.
The provolone cheese and the cooked salami.
That's all there is on it, just cooked salami and not any of the other nice meats.
No.
The best sandwich in town. Call or stop by 708 West Ridge Pike in Limerick.
Hi, this is Betty Banjack, and today I have a special treat for you. Instead of going into my kitchen, we've come to the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society's Harvest Show. And it's a little early, so there's not many people here. The people that are here, most of them are the people that are heavily involved in the the Harvest Show, and it takes up a lot of time and a lot of people. I'd like to introduce you to my special guest. This is Kathy DeBono, and Kathy and I are Harvest Show friends. We met here at the Harvest Show maybe 8 years ago or 7 years ago, and over the years, become pretty good friends. I actually want to tell you the story about how I met Kathy. We're standing in line to pick up our stuff at the end of the show, and we're talking about gardens. And Kathy turned to me and said, "Do you want to share a garden with me?" Well, I was interested because at the time I was looking for a garden to have. And I turned around and I said, "Where do you live?" And she said, "Drexel Hill." And my living in Norristown said, "No, thank you." A little too far to go and garden every day. But since Kathy and I have been friends, and we've been seeing each other at the Harvest Show and sometimes during the year and comparing notes. We've seen each other a lot this year.
Sharing recipes.
And sharing recipes and all sorts of things. Let's see, where should we go first, do you think? Why don't we go right here? We're right here with the baked goods. And I'm personally very proud to say that my coffee cake, which was known as Greta's coffee cake along the way, but has now become my best coffee cake recipe, won first prize in that division. And I also won a few other honorable mentions in this division too. So I entered 4, and I won 4 ribbons, so I'm pretty happy with myself.
Very good.
But we're never really happy with ourselves. Every year we go home and we beat ourselves up for not doing it this way, or we should do it this way. Every year, I'm not going to enter again. I've had it. And every year, at the appropriate time, you think about it, right?
Many more entries than usual.
Yeah. I started out with 1 entry in 1989, somewhere around there. And this year was my low year. I only had 13 entries compared to 20-some in other years. So we're going to move along. Let's get into the vegetables. And
design class. Yeah. Okay, we're at the competitive classes here. This is Bounty by the Basket, where it's a collection of vegetables. I myself am in it with my nephew. It's the first year he's in it as a competing adult. We've won first and second, and we have the triple ribbon winner here. She won best of show.
Actually, you see what this woman is doing is we have to replenish anything that dies along the way.
Freshen it up for the show each morning. We have to do that for all the plants and take out any dead material. She has a gorgeous selection of different varieties. There's many that are just one type of plant, like gourds, tomatoes, peppers, and then there's mixed vegetables.
I want to find my personal favorite. It's real funny. These are great. the gores and all different kinds, and some I've never seen before.
And then we have a white one. This is neat too.
Oh, all white?
All white.
I didn't see
Pumpkins
that
and
last night.
gourds. And he did the gourd class too.
This is a beautiful class. They're all beautiful, but this one is especially pretty nice because it's just very colorful
Very
and it's
competitive,
edible.
though. Very competitive.
Yes, it is.
We have different classes over here of flowers, plants, container grown, single vegetables, also our mammoth pumpkin, which we are a part of.
Every year, the Harvest Show has a theme or a title, and this year it's Harvest Trivia. And if you go around the Harvest Show, there's different posts or different places that ask you questions, and you're supposed to fill them in and turn the answers in. What you know about growing and baking and cooking. I'm not sure if there's a prize or not.
Yes, there is a prize. Yeah, there is.
Kathy's much more knowledgeable on what goes on, all year long here than I am, and so that's a fun thing. One of the things that we were looking at here are all the great pumpkins, and this pumpkin belongs to Kathy's nephew, and she'll tell you a little more about that. Actually, this is the first year that he's entered in the adult class. He used to be in the children's class.
He grew this on the fence. It's funny because he was born on Halloween, and he grows a different variety of pumpkins, and he grew this on the fence, and they thought he designed this, and it was all the fencing. We cut it off and weighed it to 55 pounds, and we almost didn't have it here. We almost had a lot of pumpkin pie on the way because it almost cracked.
But ironically, a pumpkin that size will produce very little pumpkin for cooking, and probably about 2 cups once it's cooked down. It won't be a lot of pumpkin.
I'm sure this one will be a lot more.
Here's a pumpkin I personally...
Yes, that's an
it's
antique,
neat.
yeah.
And it's a first prize winner. And there's just a load of, look at all this.
And there's more than one first prize winner in different groups. It's the best of the quality of that one particular vegetable that you're putting in. It's not up against other vegetables.
Look at this one.
So that's a neat one.
I'm going to pull it up. I'm doing a no-no. You're not supposed to touch these once they're in place, but I'll put it back, I promise.
The judging has already happened, so.
I still don't want to break anything that belongs to somebody. Right now we're in front of an area that is a window competition, and in each class they have 4 windows that you're able to do, and you have to pre-register, and they judge whether they want your window or not. So Kathy and I are thinking about doing this together next year. It'll be our first joint effort of doing anything together. So we'll have to talk a lot about this and a little more about it. So if we do this together, you'll be hearing and seeing Kathy a lot more, I'm sure, because we'll start planning by January what we're going to do.
A lot more canned goods and things involved in it.
So listen, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Limerick Country Deli, where the big rigs and the locals go for a complete assortment of deli sandwiches, eat in or take out. Stop by for your Pennsylvania lottery tickets, cold beer, or just to use the no surcharge ATM. Featuring dairy products, fresh baked goods, deli meats and cheeses, automotive and household supplies, open every day. Stop in, call, or fax your order. Limerick Country Deli, the little store that has it all, with the best sandwiches in town. The Montgomery County Cultural Center is at 208 DeKalb Street in Norristown, Montgomery County's county seat. The Cultural Center's mission is to bring the arts, theater, music, and dance to the citizens of Montgomery County. The Center Theater produces 2 plays each season, 1 musical, and 1 children's theater production. Each summer, we hold a summer program, Kids, the Heart of the Arts, for children from 5 to 14 years of age. Come and join the excitement in our county seat at the Montgomery County Cultural Center. For more information, call Fran at 279-1013.
Hi again. Here we are back at the Harvest Show, and I want to introduce Jeffrey Myers. And Jeffrey is the Public Relations Coordinator. Did I get that
Public
right?
Information Coordinator.
I'm very sorry, I do that.
You gave
all
me
the
a
time.
promotion.
Yeah. We're standing in front of this wonderful display put out by the Harvest Show, talking about this year's theme. We'd like to know a little more about the Harvest Show in itself, and maybe a little about the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, which sponsors it every year.
Sure. Well, the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society has been around since about 1827, and we've been providing shows to feature horticulture since about 1829 with our flower show, and then in about 1832, I believe it was, we had a fall show, which became the Fall Harvest Show. And we have about 700 gardeners from the inner city and from surrounding suburban communities who come in and exhibit their produce, flower displays, baked goods. It's just like a county fair, except we don't have rides.
It's a wonderful feeling when you're here. I mean, it
Thank
just
you.
makes it. I remember the first year I came. I just want to tell you this quickly. I looked around and I was like, so amazed at what I saw. And the next year I entered one thing, and someone said to me, in a couple of years you'll enter. And a couple of years later, I had like 20-some entries. So that's
When the bug hits you, you
yeah,
get it.
you really get ready for this all year. Kathy knows that too. Can we look at this picture over here? I think one of the, I'll get out of the way, the things that has been is community gardening and community involvement in this, and a lot of it's based on that. And if you can see this picture, the top picture is when the property was sort of derelict, and this is what the neighbors did with that garden, or that piece of property, and what a wonderful garden they made out of it. It's really something to be proud of. And throughout the whole Harvest Show, a lot of things to be proud of. People have done a lot of work, and it's hard work. And Jeffrey, I understand that the Harvest Show, or the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, started as a gentleman's club?
Well, actually, yes. It started in the early 1800s by a group of men who were interested in promoting agriculture in the Philadelphia region. And from that, it then sprouted into horticulture, and then the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society was formed.
A little bug told me it was also a way to get away from the house and their wives at the time, huh?
I'm a married man, so I can't comment on that.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Well, listen, Jeffrey, had you anything else you'd like to add on your own, or?
Well, just one of the things I want to explain about our display here in the Did You Know is that a lot of the proceeds from our flower show and the harvest show go to promote community gardening in Philadelphia. And as you mentioned before, we help citizens convert vacant lots into flower gardens and vegetable gardens. We also have street tree plantings and container plantings in the city. And we also have workshops throughout the city and in the surrounding suburban areas to promote horticulture in communities.
What do you do in your spare time?
We don't get much spare time.
No, it seems like you're very, very busy. Listen, I want to thank you for taking out time out of this busy day
My
to speak
pleasure.
with us, and maybe we'll see you around
Take care.
soon.
Enjoy the show.
And this time we're at the
Preserve.
Preserve Goods, and this is sort of our domain. This is the one we spend most of the time on all year long. And so back here we have, these are the best of the best of the Preserve competition. It looks like somebody lost their glasses. Left it there.
We have these are the main ribbon winners. They're the best preserved products. There's a vinegar collection and a jelly collection there. Coming around here, this is my section. This is dried vegetables and potpourri and herbs. We did pretty good here.
I've done that over the years. I didn't do any this year. My time was sort of limited, so I wasn't able to do all that I usually do in the preserves. There's just this thing. We back up here. We have vinegars.
These are flavored vinegars.
And a flavored vinegar opposed to a natural vinegar is like when you put the flavor in, where natural vinegars you put the herbs and you put the usually herbs. It's
Right,
an herb
herbs.
flavored vinegar. All of these, see, mango, coriander, a raspberry, blueberry,
Most of them have fruit in them.
lemon, garlic.
Gooseberry.
They have fruit? Yeah.
Most of them are fruit, yeah.
Yeah.
Over
Here's a
here,
strange one, lemon garlic. But it won first prize. I guess it's good.
yeah, there's.
I think most people that are working on this particular project for the preserved goods take a lot of time and care in the presentation of what they have. The bottles, the colors, the formation of what's in the bottle is all part of that deal. What do we have over here?
This is new this year. They're putting in recipes and information about each food class. which is good for people to learn if they want to do something new each year.
Look at this. Mint has been used as a toothbrush since the Middle Ages. What herb or what is mint made from? Do you know? Peppermint. I even know that one. Not cinnamon.
Here is the big class. This is the class that Bette and I always enter. It's the flavored liqueurs. They're collections.
Did you win anything on it?
No.
And it's a big thing we enter. Neither of us got even a ribbon on
Yeah,
this,
we didn't
but
ribbon this year.
This is a cutthroat competition.
Oh,
This and
absolutely.
vinegars. People are really cutthroat about it.
Yeah, if you ribbon in that, it's a big thing.
I have ribbons in
Yeah.
that, and I do have a ribbon in the what I call my berry vanilla liqueur, which is a blended.
It's a special liqueur.
Yeah, these are the natural. I don't care. I still think they look good.
Yeah, they didn't like something though.
Yeah, maybe it's a taste. Here we have a lot of the salsas and the tomato sauce and the spaghetti sauce, and something we were pointing out. There's quite a few very nice presentations, but they didn't win anything. And what they're saying is sauce should be boiling water processed. In the preserved category, other than vinegars and liqueurs, you have to have the bottle cap tightened and preserved and by a watering process, not just by corks or by lids.
This one really got me because I did a hot sauce, and their comment was more flavor, less hot. And that was something that upset me because it was considered a hot sauce. And they're telling me it was too hot, so the degree of hotness matters too.
But the items here are probably the most used in a kitchen.
Oh yeah. Tomato-based, most of them. Okay, these are our specialty liqueurs. This is a hot chili one that I did. And Bette did her berry vanilla.
Yeah, this is the berry vanilla liqueur. And to be honest, what berry vanilla liqueur is, I had leftover berry liqueur and I had leftover vanilla liqueur, and I blended them together until they tasted right and gave it a name.
And that sometimes happens with a lot of things that we've worked with. We get the combination and we like it. This I thought was very interesting. Beautiful presentation.
Beautiful
But yet
bottles.
It didn't ribbon, so they didn't like something about it.
It's the taste they don't like.
Yeah.
And also, if you notice, everything is done in threes. One of the rules of entering preserved goods is that you must enter 3
Of one item.
containers, 3 of one item, unless it's a collection. And then I think there's a limit
to
of
8.
8 of a collection, and they can be different too.
Right, and with the bottles of vinegar and liqueurs, you can use different bottles. All the others have to be the same. New
They're very
seals,
strict about that.
new
yeah.
rings, everything
Oh, they're
has to be
very
new.
strict, because when we go over to this other stuff, you'll see why 2 of my items were cast out, almost cast out before they were entered, because I did not leave enough headroom on the top of.
That's very important when you're doing the boiling bath.
Yeah,
To have
and
the
I
head-
thought I did. So I did.
This
we
is
have jellies.
this is a class that neither of us, I think, entered. The jellies.
I never enter jellies.
I usually do, but I just didn't this year.
I enter jams because if you make a mistake, you don't notice it as much.
These have to be very clear. The clarity matters, and that's a real tough thing to do.
And smooth, like a
Yes,
good jelly.
not real sweet. Best consistency too.
Okay. Here we are at the chow-chows and corn and relish. And this was my entry I told you about, and the card states, filled to top, not good with vegetable selection. You really shouldn't have vegetables, especially with vinegars, touching the top of a lid because they can go bad. But I thought I had it right, and evidently I did. This one in previous years has won first prize a couple times around, so that's why it was surprising. And then there's a big one here I have. Oh.
Red pepper relish.
My red pepper relish did come in first prize, and ironically, I've used this recipe maybe 5 years, and every year it's placed mostly first, but it's placed down to honorable mention, and it's the same recipe. It's amazing that.
There's different judges every year. This one here is my peach chutney. It got an honorable mention. They loved it, but they said it would be a salsa, a better salsa. So you just don't know what the judges are looking for at the time.
They made a determination. I'd like to show you this one. It's my basil garlic vinegar, and I'll tell you what happened when I brought it. The bottles made such a sensation. I think better than the vinegar, though that's not true. Everything's based on taste. But I guess they did like the vinegar because it did come in second. And vinegar is one of those cutthroat competitions that, like the liqueurs and stuff, where people weren't real pleasant at times about the whole thing. But they're just a wonderful thing to see. And Kathy has a collection here. Then you want to tell her about that? Tell him about it?
This is, for instance, that they loved my flavor, but right before I came down, my peppers were floating to the top, and I knew that it wouldn't work, so I took them out, and it didn't become very clear, so it lost points.
Oh, it's easy. With my fish bottles, when we got here on Thursday night, one of them was knocked over accidentally, and when it hit the floor, I thought this was it. We'd never see this bottle again. It would be broken, and somehow it didn't break, so I picked it up, put it on the counter, and we entered it. So
it got a ribbon. So
I need help when I come on Thursday nights for my preserves. I need help to bring
that's
my
what we
stuff.
need: our husbands, friends, everybody
neighbors.
that could help. Exactly.
So, what about your oil?
I did a hot chili oil, which is a combination of a few different kinds of oils. The thing about oils flavored, you have to be careful that the vegetables become rancid, so you have to use dried vegetables to get a better quality.
That's why I never made it. I only heard these.
Simple
everything
to do.
becomes rancid. You know?
Yeah, and when it does, you know the difference.
So what about
here is the dried potpourri collection, which they didn't like mine, evidently.
And I didn't enter this year.
It's dried flowers, and you mix them with oils and to get different scents. They have to like a more natural scent. Dried seasoning collection, which they also didn't like of mine. It's a mixture of different, I did a mix of all different kinds of herbs because I grow quite a bit, but something they didn't like about it.
Yeah, the judging is, I mean, when you're involved in it, you sometimes think, oh, why? But, you know, the judging is a very difficult job done by people who are not paid to do this, and they come out and do it because they like to and they want to.
And everybody's looking for something different, too, as a judge.
Everyone has a different taste. So we have some other things here on this end that might be of interest. Here we are over in the pickle section, and there's some really nice things. Like, I personally think this is lovely. Mm-hmm. And it just, evidently the judges didn't like the taste, as Kathy said, or there's something. My zucchini pickles are the first time I've ever really made them and put them under preserves. Brought in a second prize. I'm really pleased with that, especially since I don't even like zucchini. I mean, this is a major thing, but as the pickles go, they're pretty good.
They're wonderful.
I did a few other pickles that didn't do well, but one that I really think is strange, I decided to hand cut these pickles instead of uniformly cut them so they look rustic and country. And the card, because a lot of the items have cards attached to, said uneven slices, but attractive appearance. So to me, that was sort of like a strange statement. If it's attractive, what does it matter? But I am not the judge, and I'm not questioning, but I can't wait for these to eat them. Because you get to take everything, and what they do when they
open them.
They open them, and they dot them. So that you know when you get home, which they don't open all three of yours.
They could, but they don't.
They don't. And then you know to use that one, and the rest you can put on the shelf if you want. Well, here we are at the last, I breathe, I sigh, it's a long trip around. Here we are at the last display, and I think, Kathy, you have some things on this display?
Yeah, I have a peach butter that I got a blue ribbon for. First year we tried it, we did very well. They liked the flavor, but I also did roasted peppers, which everyone usually loves, but their comment was there wasn't enough liquid, so that's what they didn't like about it. So I didn't ribbon in that class. There's several different brandied peaches and organic tomatoes.
And then here's honey.
Also honey that's collected.
It's a nice variety. Listen, we can go over this way into the herbs section and see what's happening. This is probably the most wonderful smelling part of the harvest show because everyone has its own bouquet. And
over here there's living wreaths, which is a collection of different types of herbs.
That's a wreath?
Yeah, it's a living wreath. There's several different ones here. Most of them are culinary herbs, but there's formal and informal involved in it.
And then there's a lot of the
collections. And they have the plants, individual plants.
I understand this being a wreath. I still don't understand that.
just so it has a form that they
In the
hold
hole.
it in. Right.
Okay.
It's alive, it's a plant rather than a cutting. This is a beautiful one.
There's
And there
four of
again,
these.
they're looking for something. They don't want the real wild look, even though that's beautiful.
Yeah, I like this look.
Yeah, so do I.
And it, you know, it goes on up that way.
There's wreaths and flower arrangements made with herbs.
And over there, there's Senate geraniums, or Senate herbs
Yes.
over there.
All geraniums, I think, in that class.
Yeah, mostly geraniums that are scented.
There's container-grown and topiary rosemaries.
You want to look at these mussy tussie? Tussie mussy. I do it every time. I say it backwards. Tussie mussy is a little bouquet. Well, that's what it looks like. But what it is, it's Victorian.
Right.
And in the Victorian time, people would use that in their bedroom or on their body because remember, they didn't go to the dry cleaner every week.
Right.
And they didn't take a shower every day.
So it was like an air freshener.
Yeah. So they're very pretty and of course they're whatever you want them to be.
Dry flowers, fresh herbs that dry at the same time.
Well, here's the wreaths that are up. I would think there would be more than 4, but that's all.
Yeah.
This is great.
This is
Now I know what to
interesting.
do with my lamb's ears. I have a bush that's absolutely wonderful. And other than drying them or sticking them in a vase for a while, this whole leaf, the leaf of the lamb's ear was
Covering the wreath.
covering the wreath and glued down. I assume it's glued.
Yeah, and it's all done in dry flowers and herbs that are scented,
Peppers and little clover things.
roses.
Very pretty.
The combination is what they like.
As you can hear by the sound and the people coming by, it's getting a lot more crowded now. So I'm glad we came early as we did.
Yes.
Because the sound is already picking up.
Yes, definitely.
This is presented in an entirely glass greenhouse, and every year it rains on Harvest Show weekend, and every
Our
year all the
labels.
labels are wet, and everything's all the little stickers and everything.
This year it held up. We were
Well, it's
lucky.
wet. There's a lot of wet. I don't know where it came from.
But we didn't get the rain, thank God.
No.
So.
I'm really beat by now. Are you beat?
Oh, I'm exhausted.
Well, we've both been here for the last 4 days, at least once a day, to bring, take, or rearrange.
Right.
So this was almost a very pleasant diversion in doing it a different way. And we're really glad that you were able to,
Spend a lot of time with us.
spend the time with us and to try to come down to the Harvest Show yourself. It's very, very easy. It's on Belmont Avenue in Philadelphia. And it's today from 10 to 5 and tomorrow from 10 to 5. So all I can say is come down, try it. If not, call the society. They're listed in the phone book and they'll tell you about next year's.
Different
and
events.
how you can compete and do what you want to do. So this is Betty Banjack and Kathy DeBono saying good
Bye-bye.
cooking and good eating.